So.
Yeah, and John will be on any second. There he is.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Hey.
How's it, Karen? Good to see you again. How are you?
Good, thanks. Well, thank you again for taking the time out to speak with me again about this film. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Let me get dressed.
Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about the whole idea behind making the sequel and what really inspired you to want to create another film in the series, and how did this project really get started over?
Yeah, cool. We had a great time on the first film, and we on set we kind of said we'd dig to do another one, and we started writing the second film while we're still shooting. Or as we were kind of wrapping, we had some ideas about the second film, and ran it by the actors, and the actors were very excited, and just kept developing the script, and everyone got very excited, and we very fortunate to do two films over, I think it's like a 3-year period. Quick turnaround, but the characters are so strong and the storylines are great, and you know, yeah, just very happy to be at this stage where we've got 2 films finished. So it's pretty cool.
Also, speaking about the cast, I also wanted to ask you, Shamilla, about being in the sequel and what really inspired you to want to come back for the film, and what was that experience like for you to come back for the sequel as well?
Well, I mean, the inspiration about coming back for a sequel was just working with its incredible team. Like the first time around, and I think we spoke about this the last time, it was such an incredible set to be a part of, such an incredible team to be a part of. So when the idea of a sequel came along, I think I can speak for all the actors. We were just like, immediately, yes. Like, this is a team that we wanted to work with again, and also a story that we wanted to develop. I think that each of us really only really got started with our characters in the first one. So to develop these characters into more like fleshed out human beings in a sequel was just such a great opportunity that there was no way we were going to turn down.
And speaking also about the rest of the cast, what was it like for both of you to be able to reunite with everyone on set for the sequel and get to work together again? And did you already have like a shorthand to really help in continuing with the characters? And just overall, what was that experience like reuniting with the rest of the cast?
Yeah, I mean, reuniting, we were like such a close-knit group. We stayed in contact and we were quite good friends. But I remember like day one, it was just me and Auntie Val and Mila's character for that first day. And I remember the feeling of just like, oh my gosh, we're doing it again. We're on the set again. And just that excitement of like having the team together. And then what was great about the second film was that there were a few more like characters that were introduced, and a few other actors that just slotted in so beautifully into our little family and, you know, tight-knit bubble. And it was really nice. And they were fans of the first film. And so it was really nice just like exploring this new world through their eyes again, which is great.
Yeah, I was worried. I mean, I was hopeful that we'd have everybody back again, and I was hoping that everyone was keen to do the second film. So I remember doing our read through Shamilla when we all worked together in Cape Town. I also, like, for me, that's when it started becoming a reality. When I saw all the actors again, we reunited with everybody, and it was just great to hear everyone read the characters again. And the new characters were brilliant, and they were funny. It was well balanced. I just felt really great from that day onwards. But also, like Shamilla said, we didn't kind of lose contact with each other. We went to Toronto, which was amazing, in between both films, and then we just kind of hung out from time to time, talking about Umbrella Men 2. So it's been good. Good.
And on set, with the films having this unique comedy, that's something that I really enjoyed about both films, is like the comedy and the camaraderie between the cast. And what was that experience like, coming back and really creating the humor between the characters again in this film?
Well, I mean,
Well,
I will give props to John and Philip, because the script was so tight and there was so much humor on the page already. And then also John as a director gives us gives us a little bit of freedom to improvise and like play around with our characters on set. And I think a lot of the comedy comes from that as well. And I just think that as a group of actors, we've got such great chemistry. We had it the first time round. And the second time round, you're always nervous about, can we replicate the same feeling and the same vibe? And, can we do it again? And I will say that we could, and we did do it again. But then also again, like just in the scenes with the women, the addition of Shimmy Isaacs into that little clique was such a like breath of fresh air and fresh comedy. And she really brought like a very particular style to the group that I think just like worked beautifully.
Yeah, we actually, sorry, just to touch on that too, is the improv. On the first day that we shot, we were running our lines on set, and June van Merch, who plays Auntie Val, while we were running the lines, for some reason she kept calling Keisha. She kept calling her Keisha, like mispronouncing her name in a way, Keisha. And then I said to her, no, Keisha. And then everyone started laughing. He said, cool, we'll put it in the film. And it's in the film. So the actors, thanks for the credit. I give you the credit to improv, but it's because they're so good at improving that you can actually kind of rely on a lot of that from them. And actually, in fact, Appy, Christian Bennett, we don't write him any lines. He's got this character. We give him like one or two things to say, and then he ends up talking forever on the film. He's got like so much dialogue in so many scenes. But he's great at improv. I think there's a great balance between actors and the comedians.
I find that hilarious that he doesn't have any lines in the actual script, and then like he just like finds his way and like slots in so perfectly, and he makes it work. And he's so funny. Like he brought such life to that character.
He's great. At lunchtime, he's always the one who's entertaining everybody. I like look over at the actors wherever they are sitting, talking, and there's Appy like singing and dancing and keeping everyone like high spirits. So he's brilliant to have on set.
Yeah.
And also speaking about the scenes with the women, that was something that I also enjoyed about the sequel as well, and wanted to ask about what was your camaraderie with the rest of the actresses in those scenes, and what was that experience like in really building those scenes together?
Honestly, the camaraderie was so strong. Like the fact that we got to tell the story with the women taking like the centerfold position and becoming the leaders in the pack, and doing all the planning and all the heavy lifting and a lot of the stunts. It was so much fun. And I think as actresses, we were also just we understood the privilege of being in this role and being able to do the action part and take the leadership position and have that role in the film. And every day that we were out there doing any kind of like stunts or action scenes, we were just like, this is so cool that we get to do this. It was so cool that this is the narrative, that the women take such a lead role in this film. It was amazing.
Also, speaking about the stunts and the action sequences, that was something that I also enjoyed about the film as well, and especially like the scuba diving scenes. And what was that experience like, getting to create those stunts together as well?
Yeah, we were when we first heard the concept of the film, Bronte and I were like, oh my gosh, like when we read about scuba diving and going under the water, we were like, John, that we're gonna do this, because they were speaking, they were like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get stunt doubles for you. You won't have to be doing any of this, because you're gonna be all covered in scuba diving equipment. And we were like, no, we are going to do it. We're going to get scuba certified. We're going to get under the water, and we're gonna get the shots, because we were very excited. Bronte and I are both like quite adventurous, and I'll throw Shimmy in there as well. Like we were very excited to be able to do that as actors, and to take, to be able to do your own stunts. It feels cool. The scuba diving was, there were challenging aspects to it, but I think because we were all so excited to just be able to do it, we were just like, hell yeah, let's go.
In fact, it was one of the guys who, we won't mention names, but it was one of the guys who couldn't scuba dive very well.
Yeah.
Floating, but the girls were brilliant. The girls nailed it. They were like in the water for the longest. They, on the day when we did all the scuba diving stuff, girls were like, I think you guys were in the water for 5 hours compared to the guys who were 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Hours, yeah.
We were like in the water at the bottom of the ocean, on the ocean floor, and it was so beautiful and so magical that, like, and it was cold, but we didn't, like, I'm the first one to complain about anything being cold, but that day was so magical that I was like, can't believe this is my life.
So with the music being an important part of the film again, is like the first one, what was that experience like in really creating the music and the score for the film and incorporating that into the story again?
Yeah, the music was very important because we're dealing with the sequel, the second film. We wanted not only the story to be different and the genre to be different, but we were very aware that the music had to be different in two. And in the first film, the Minstrel Carnival focuses a lot on, or the first film was centered around the Minstrel Carnival, which is very different. The Klopse music is very different to the Cape Malay choirs. And in the second film, we focused on the Cape Malay choirs. So it was important that that whole film had a different sound to it, but also very important that we based it on the Guma Club in the Boerkaap, which is still the jazz club, and kept that the main piece of them fighting for that club, but try to make it very interesting, which I hope we have. And then we had Shoma Josie on the film too. She's quite a famous South African singer. She's done a song for us, which is great. The film plays out with one of her tracks, and she's wanted to act in the film for a long time. She loved Umbrella Men 1, and she was very keen to be in 2, and she came along and she was great. She was cool. Shamilla, she fitted in. She was great.
Yeah, she was so great. I hadn't met her before, and I'm quite a fan of her work as well. So I remember the first day she was on set. I don't think she got to shoot that day, but the first day that she was there, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Shoma Josie's here!" And then ended up meeting her, and she's just like the nicest, sweetest, kindest person. So unassuming. Like it was such a treat for us to meet her. Yeah, no, she was great.
And the Greek choirs it was important that they took the role of telling the story as a voice artist would do. And there was Lukman Adams, who with Aziz and the entire troupe created the most incredible original music for the film. So to have their talents involved in the film is just such a pleasure, because they recorded, even onto to camera, they recorded 10 songs, and then behind the scenes they did even more songs. To be able to draw from one particular band or troupe and get all that great music, we were very, very fortunate to have that. So Lukman Adams, just really talented South African musician, really cool.
Being able to film the sequel in Cape Town, what was that experience like? Being able to shoot throughout the city, and really, what was the process like of really figuring out where you wanted to shoot within the city as well?
Well, I've come from Joburg. I mean, I've been shooting in Joburg for many years, and Joburg is very different to Cape Town. Joburg is full on like guerrilla style filmmaking. You take a camera, you put it on the ground, you shoot, you pay whoever's on the streets to shoot. Like, you just don't do that in Cape Town. Cape Town is completely different. You need permission, you need permits. You can't put the camera on the floor. You can't put the camera in the car. Like in Joburg, you can shoot an entire film without getting any permits. Like here, you can't even hide. Like no one can see the camera. No one can see the actors. If someone
sees the camera and like anyone will be like, "Where's your permit?" Everyone knows to ask.
Yeah, so it's beautiful and we love it. But coming from where I came from in Johannesburg and the cinematographer Mateo, we often had like a running joke with the ADs, the Cape Townian ADs, and saying like, how long is it going to be before they actually hate us and just like refuse to shoot? Because we just kept saying, yeah, but stop the car, pull the camera out, shoot the car going past. Come on. No one can see us. There's nobody here. Like, no, we need a permit, John. We can't do that. Like, oh my goodness. So it was great. And also, we unfortunately, we took a long time to get the film greenlit. We wanted to shoot all the way from December, but the time we actually got the project greenlit was over Ramadan. And because the book cop is predominantly Muslim, they were very insistent on us not singing. So it was quite tough because we had the Greek choirs, and we wanted to have them perform in the book cop, and we couldn't. So we had to find another location, which is a bit tricky. But the community were fantastic, and they were such good hosts, and have been for both films. So very, very fortunate.
Yeah. And I live in Joburg as well. I'm from Cape Town, and I love like shooting down in my hometown. It feels so, there's a different energy and feel when you're like working in Cape Town. Every day is just beautiful. The air is different. You're by the ocean. It's amazing. And then also we were shooting in quite a few different locations, all over the city, from the city to Simonstown, which is about an hour out. And so waking up and going to different locations every day and just exploring, it just adds like this layer of fun to any set. So that was great.
And Shamilla's tough. I often make mistake of I don't know, sorry, I don't know why, but I treat her like, differently and say, oh, because there's this driving scene where she's driving and she's acting, and she's driving through the book car. It's quite narrow streets, and I can always go, well, Shamilla, she's not going to be able to manage acting and driving. She's like, John, they can do it easily. Come on,
easily. I can do anything. You're so like, are you going to be okay? There's going to be a camera next to you, or there's going to be a camera like mounted on the front of the car. He was like, are you sure you're okay? We can maybe get someone else to drive, and then we don't see you driving. And I was like, why are you stressed? I can do anything.
Yeah. We were like trying to order a flatbed. We're going, honestly, we had like this huge expense. Get a flatbed, put the car on the flatbed, drive through the city, because it's going to be too demanding for Shamilla to act and to drive. She was like, please, Lance. One hand on, chatting, doing all the lines, going around corners. It's great stuff.
I told you, I can do anything.
Also speaking about working with your cinematographer and just really figuring out all the camera moves, and what was that experience like for you both on set to really figure that out as you were filming throughout Cape Town, and really figuring out how you wanted to visually shoot the film as well?
I'm very fortunate to have a really fantastic cinematographer, very, very talented young man called Mateo Moeng. Just a great collaborator. We go through a process of watching a lot of films, like-minded film, genre films, anything from Shawshank Redemption through to Papillon, even Down by Law. We watch a lot of prison films, and then we go through a storyboard process. We spend a couple of days going through storyboards, talking about lenses. He pushed for the anamorphic lenses that we shot on, which are really, really beautiful. I was just telling Shamilla, she hasn't actually seen the film, but the actors just look absolutely gorgeous on that screen. We watched it on a big screen the other day, and it looks absolutely. I know, it's so beautiful. It's a very different look to the first one. The first one was a bit more nostalgic, and we used these old Cook lenses with the idea to make it look 70s and kind of that nostalgic look. But this has a very, very different feel with the anamorphic lenses, and Mateo is just he's just such a, Shamilla knows too, he's just such a great presence, and a relaxed presence on set. There's never ever a time I've never seen him flustered once. The only time I've ever seen him flustered is when his freaking Arsenal team are about to play. It's the only time I've ever seen. He's a big Arsenal fan. but other than that, he's just the best guy to work with. So yeah, so we go through that process of the storyboards, and then obviously we get closer to the shoot. We have tech recce's and visits. We went to Robben Island. We went all over the place and worked out the shots that we're gonna do. So we do have a storyboard for story and for how we plan to shoot, but we don't stick to that 100%. We often we love shooting in locations because the locations give you something really beautiful. The actors arrive and they will do something, or we'll go somewhere in the corner and we'll look at that and say that's an interesting shot. Let's rather bring them in from there. So we're very flexible in terms of if something wasn't planned or wasn't on the storyboards, but on the day it feels like that's the way we should go. We kind of change and we do that. We had a whole situation where, I mean, you have to be flexible, you have to adapt. We had a whole situation where we, on one of the sand dunes, we had planned to be at this particular sand dune where the sun would be setting at that stage of the day, and it would tie into when that whole end scene happened. And then we got to Atlanta sand dunes a couple of weeks later, and that whole sand dune had actually shifted somewhere else. So in those situations, you have to have guys that can think on their feet, and we can change things up. And so we changed it up, and Matteo and his whole team are just really, really incredibly talented young people. Great to work with.
Also, John, I wanted to ask you about also producing the sequel as well, and what that experience was like on set, both directing and producing, and really balancing the two jobs as well.
Well, I think, I mean, I've kind of been fortunate that I found a great producing team in Joel and Seps and Dan, and they've, because I came from independent filmmaking where I was the one getting the money, and it was my brother acting in the film, or my friend editing it, and so it's just so nice now to have producers who actually who found the money and are the producers. So I'm happy to write and direct and to have them have the drama of finding the money, because I can't argue with myself. I'm the worst producer I think in the world, because I kind of I always err on the creative side. So the producers hate me. It's like I insisted on the cave. We had to go to this. We had to be in the cave, and I really wanted to go up and shoot in an authentic cave, but the cave was 2 hours away, and it was so expensive for the crew and cast. And I kind of threw a bit of a tantrum and stamped my feet and insisted that we go and spend time in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
It's very expensive, but at least at the end of it, the producer's like, okay, it was worth it. Yeah, it was worth it. You're right. So sometimes I'm right, but for the most part, they pretty much hate me, I think.
Now with the sequel, I'm gearing up for its world premiere at Toronto again. What's that experience been like of gearing up for the premiere and being able to go back to the festival and share the sequel with audiences there again as well?
Well, yeah, it's very exciting. We're so happy to be in Toronto. We're not sure about how many of the guys are going to Toronto this year, but it's such an honor to have our film selected twice. At the festival. Really, it's a huge honor for us, and it says a lot about the film. I mean, it would have been very easy for Toronto to say, look, sequels don't really, festivals don't really take sequels. And we would have understood that 100%, but they really loved the first film, and obviously really dig the second film. So very exciting on that front. We're looking forward to our local premieres. We're going to premiere in Cape Town, the premiere in Joburg, because we have some of the actors are based in both cities, and just looking forward to the actors seeing it because they haven't seen the film. I'm very proud of it. I think it looks beautiful. I think the actors. The performances are great. Story's cool. It's a strong sequel. I'm very proud to show it to people. So can't wait for the next month or two to see how it rolls out and get feedback.
Yeah, but it is so. It's honestly, it's such a privilege to be, like John said, to be invited back for a second year in a row for a sequel film, and that people are excited to see the sequel. And then also, for our first premiere to be like a world premiere is very, very exciting to like have our film
Wow.
shown on such a big stage.
True.
I think that was mainly it, but thank you both again for taking the time out to speak with me again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
Cool, Karen.
Karen.
Pleasure to see you again. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Karen. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Thanks again.